Yeah, thanks everyone. Oh, it's loud. Okay. So thank you everyone. I understand that it's like 2 days and it's 5 p.m. So thank you all for showing up, or not. So basically the title says that it's about games, but actually our research was devoted to all the dApps we could find, because like yesterday the Blockchain Cuties presentation told that it was like 1,440 gaming dApps only on all the blockchains, but actually we managed to find some equal number of dApps total, so it's kind of curious, but I will tell you about that. So the plan is, as we are limited in time, I will try to skip some boring parts, but the overall plan is I will tell you why we did this research and what was the goal, and of course the insights, and a couple words about the Fluence. Fluence is a decentralized platform that can host your backend code and your data, but we will get back to this later. So why do the research? Like in these couple of days I heard a lot that the main problem for the games is getting the exposure and actually finding their audience. And imagine if you're not like a consumer-centric application and it's not B2C but B2B rather, and you have to find your audience and you're in total dark, and in late 2018 we knew nothing about the dApp development or who the developers were, what they're struggling with, what do they do, where do they live, and how we can contact them. So as an infrastructural project, we had to somehow reach the audience and find out any clues what they are doing and what the challenges they have are. And so we decided that by doing a research, we could kill several birds with one stone. First, we could find the developers and the places where they live. We will learn what they are doing. And of course, we will by gaining the insights, we can bring some real value to the ecosystem instead of just writing another article on how the decentralization can save all of us. And so we decided to make a research. And it took three people and a couple months of working 24/7 to create a survey and actually reach everyone. So yeah, in 2018, dApps were even mysterious than now, because like the bearish market, everything is going into panic mode, and like after the hype in 2017, then you have total darkness. And what's going on? Are there any dApps that are actually live? Do they have their audiences? Do they make any money at all? Who funds them? What are the teams? What are the challenges they have, like in both technology and business? We knew nothing, and so we compiled like a 40-question survey. Okay, those slides are actually boring, and the survey was boring too. So we added some cat gifs, but that's like a small trick I can teach you later. And we got actually a shitload of data, because, like, you know, when you have the dApp radar as the only source of the dApps, where do you find them? You go and Google. You search anyone that looks like a dApp. You go and search for Discord chats. You go for Telegram groups. And you try to reach out everyone manually, because like sending an email with the link usually doesn't work. So we had actually over 2,000 lines of Google Sheet with personal contacts for the developers who somehow showed that they were working on a dApp project, trying to reach them. And if anyone participated here, did anyone participate in here? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, thanks. So we actually had to go and talk to everyone in person. So as I said, 1,600 dApps total. That doesn't quite fit what the previous presentations told, that there are only 1,400 of gaming dApps, but I would like to double check this data. And among those 1,600 dApps, like 700 were abandoned projects. The groups in Discord were abandoned. No people there, no admin contacts, nothing. But fortunately, 900 were quite reachable, and we managed to contact them. And 160 awesome projects actually filled this almost 40 question survey, and now we have the data, because I've heard a lot during those 2 days that there are some ideas and problems with this, problems with that, but it feels like, okay, one project shows up and says that they struggle with this, but does that actually spread to the whole community? And we have the data that shows and that tells that yes, all dApps, not just gaming dApps, but any dApp, face the same problems. So yeah, when we started the research, some participants had got creative. And that's actually an internal meme. That's how I felt, like trying to reach all those guys, like writing in Telegram 24/7, hey, please fill in our story. So finally, interesting things. Usually this won't tell you much, but the great thing and a great signal for the market, I think, is that though the hype was in 2017 when the CryptoKitty spiked, we have the dApps that are not older than 3 months, like 6 months, 1 year, and this shows that new dApp projects arose during the whole 2018, and now we have some movement. At least we have new events sprouting and new projects sprouting. It's a great thing. It's not like that everyone is dead. Another great thing, we found that you can see the data for 2017 and 2018 participants, and though the number of angel and VC-funded projects stayed relatively the same, we can see that most projects that were started in 2018 are self-funded. So for me, that's a sign that people are ready to risk with their own money and time starting building dApps. And that's a great thing for the ecosystem, I guess. So that might seem like kind of boring, but bear with me. Take a look at this. Most people are working in small groups of 3 to 5. It's not like some single crazy inventors start their projects. It's actually solid teams working on some interesting things. And there are also a lot of teams that are 6 to 10 people. So that means they have the money, they have the solid team, they have the idea that is capable to gather all these people together and start building. It's a super cool sign. So of course, as an infrastructural project, we were interested in the technological issues and what problems do the dApp projects have, with which things do they struggle. So first we asked if you are centralized or decentralized. While in 2 days into this event, it got obvious for me that most games are hybrid, meaning that they have like assets on blockchain, but all the action part and all the interesting stuff happens somewhere else. It wasn't that much clear to us at the end of the 2018. So yeah, we have this data that shows that most dApps, not just games, they work with centralized backend. They have to use database. They have to use traditional cloud services, and that means all the things that come with centralized services, like vendor lock-in, like centralization, censorship, and so on. And those are the problems where still are to solve. So as we spoke mostly to the developers, they mentioned technological issues they had, but what kind of issues these are? Turns out that most of the technology stack we have right now is like poorly documented. The production environment behaves not in a similar way that they use in test environment, and that kind of stops the adoption of technology in general, right? Because if you have the poor developer experience, how do you expect developers to come to build new projects, to build new applications? And how do you expect a killer blockchain app to arrive? Because everybody is eventually looking for the killer blockchain app today. So how do you expect it to emerge if you have this poor experience for developers? And that helped also us to focus on developer experience for our platform. So most mentioned technological issue, I guess that's due to the high number of Ethereum participants in the survey. They mentioned that they have problems working with blockchain. They have problems with the full nodes, with downloading data and working with the blockchain events. So that's mainly for Ethereum, because you can see that Infura is here. But if you have some similar experience or different experience with other blockchains, I would love to hear about that. So quotes are cool, but unfortunately we don't have the time. So before the research, we had the hypothesis that scalability was the main issues. And it wasn't just us, but it felt like all the ecosystem is running around the scalability, because everyone said that once we have the scalable and perfectly efficient blockchain, we will live in the golden age. Turned out that developers don't really care about scalability, but I would like to reconsider this one because, like yesterday, guys from Auctionity, had the talk about how they struggled to scale, and that kind of doesn't fit. So, but somehow the survey participants didn't stress enough the scalability issues, maybe because the critical number of users they needed to start really struggling with scalability wasn't enough. So it's another thing to consider. Yet everyone is quite optimistic about what's going to happen next. And when we asked if you have the plan when your adoption scales and when the critical mass of the users will arrive, do you have any plan to scale the capabilities of your application? And they said yes, but what kind of plan it is? So, oh, this one has a bug. Okay. Any ideas what was the biggest pain point that the most dApp developers named in the survey? Testing. Okay. Another? Tools were previous. They had problems, but that wasn't the biggest problem. Any more guesses? Come on, guys. That should be easy. 2 days in the conference, everyone's talking about it. Okay. Ta-da! Adoption. So basically, it turns out that if you're not an infrastructural project and building a super giant big platform with lots of tools, and if you're trying actually to face the consumer, man, it should be adoption. And the problem with adoption is not just the poor experience that lots of people mentioned, educating the users to use actually MetaMask to sign transactions, to not lose their private keys. Because actually most developers said that if our user got lost his private key and he comes, so I want to restore my account, turns out that you cannot do that. And everyone got used to instant gratification in the current web, and that they can solve all the problems they have with the support. And turns out that dApps are lacking this experience. They lack instant gratification thing, because I should not really explain this to you, right? And because of the other poor user experience things. And those things also come from technological issues, because working with blockchain events also adds up to the poor user experience. And other things like onboarding and explaining crypto to people actually turns out to be the biggest problem. That might be due to the developers' nature, who are used to working with code and not the people, and they start this new cool app, and then real consumers come and they start using this app, and the developers face the problem that they need to work as a support engineers too and explain all those things. But I think that's a major issue, and lots of people here mentioned it, and that it's hard for the dApps to get exposure. It's hard to bring new users. It's a struggle with explaining those users how to purchase, how to use crypto, what to do. And they are all going with clever hacks and solutions, but I haven't seen a real thing that will solve all those problems. So yeah, everything here you could have heard this during those 2 days. No, CryptoKitties. Oh, it's always great to have a CryptoKitties quote in your presentation. So they apparently struggled to explain, but that's counterintuitive, right? If you have a crypto dApp and you expect that your users are already savvy enough And they already should understand all these little differences, and they should know what they're dealing with, because like the value proposition of the most dApps is that, hey, we're on blockchain and you're like into blockchain, so come use us. And turns out that there are some people who like not into blockchain in a bit, and still they come and like try to use those new fancy applications, and turns out there are lots of problems that they face. And these small consumer-centric dApps, they're doing an enormous work of educating the users and building the user base for like when the killer dApp arrives, hey, all the people are there. So I intentionally left this slide unchanged, though it feels quite outdated. It was like for January 2019. But now we can see that like I saw this for blockchain cuties, I guess. They solved the MetaMask problem by adopting their own solution with wallet, which doesn't require a plugin or any additional thing to be installed or downloaded by the user, and lots of projects there offer similar solution. And also the Samsung creating their cold wallet storage phone, that's also cool. And Opera has this in development feature where they have integration with the crypto wallet. But the most cool thing is like Trust Wallet, which has the dApp discovery browser, I guess, like inside the wallet. And that's super cool because like the most exposure we can get and the better experience we can reach is the better for the whole ecosystem, not just for one single dApp. So about the report, turns out that our work was not in vain, and we actually managed to add value to the community. And the cool thing is that like we were not alone. It's great when you do the work and you feel that it's not like just you, it's all other people were in the dark just like us, and the Twitter like exploded. So if you're like in a business and you want to find some exposure for your dApp and you want to find the value for the ecosystem, please do some research. That will help like everyone and you. So a couple words about Fluence. As we are building the decentralized cloud platform, you could say it is a cloud platform. So basically the problem we're trying to approach right now is this hybrid approach. When you have this blockchain part and you have this centralized backend, it's not very convenient to have on multiple platforms entangled in your application. What we want to offer is a straightforward experience for the developer who could host his backend and database on one platform, work with the data in a convenient and usual way. So not just the usual consumers got like used to instant replies, all these high speeds and so on. Developers are actually used to this experience that is provided by Amazon or other big providers too. They expect things to work, they expect features to be documented, they expect that test environment and product environment will behave in the same predictable way. And that's what we want to provide for the developers. So actually, we're in DevNet now. A mistake there. So you can just go to the dash.fluence.network and check out the DevNet dashboard and deploy an SQL database with one button. I'm not like kidding, it's actually that simple. You press the button and you have the SQL database in the decentralized network. And you can integrate it with your application front end in a couple of code lines using our JavaScript client and tackle with it. And if you break something, please tell us, because that's what we're looking for now. So developers come and try to break the DevNet. So I guess that's it. Tomorrow we're going to have a workshop, not at 18:30, but at 12. Straight, so come over, you can ask me or you can contact Anna if you would like to. And I guess we have the time for the questions. Yeah? Do we? Yeah, awesome, thank you. Questions?
Thank you for your presentation. I have a very weird question, probably. Uh, we've been developing a kind of solution which is a hybrid between a private blockchain and public blockchain, because our project has some data which we don't want to put on the public blockchain. For example, I guess you're familiar with GDPR.
Yeah,
GDPR, yeah.
of course.
So we have some kind of personal data which we want to be stored in decentralized environment. So because we need it for targeting, for example, for marketing purposes, but there is no way we will be able to comply with GDPR if we put it on the public blockchain. So my question is, have you thought about compliance and dealing with private data in your project?
Okay, that's an easy one because we've been focusing on the technology to make it actually work and make it efficient, make it like cheap and so on. So we are right now dealing only with public data.
Okay.
So you should not use like Fluence even in the DevNet for any private data, but you can use public data and tackle with that.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay, then you can catch me here. I'm still like a couple days in Minsk, so thank you.